What's good, everyone, and welcome back to the Water Boys channel, as I will have you covered on today's topic with the Kansas City Chiefs. And we're going to dive a little more into Tyrann Mathieu, because we may have an answer what happens this free agency with him. But before we do dive into that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, as I'm going to keep you up to date daily with anything that's revolving around the Kansas City Chiefs, so you do not want to miss out on that. And without further ado, let's jump into this Tyrann Mathieu situation. So, Tyrann Mathieu. It's an interesting topic because none of us know what's going to happen with him. We don't know if he's going to resign or if he's going to test free agency. But the closer and closer we get to free agency, it seems like he's likely not going to be a Kansas City Chiefs. And the reason I say that too is because you don't hear the rumors that they're trying to, hash out a deal, trying to get things close. And then on the other end as well, and what we've seen throughout the season, Tyrann, he's very emotional, and he will let you know on social media of how he's feeling in that exact moment. And we got a tweet to represent that, and you can make whatever you want of it. Maybe it doesn't have to do with the situation, maybe it could be family, whatsoever, but timing, we're going to talk about it. And he happened to tweet a picture saying, don't draw a blank, I should probably pull it up and read it, but I'm going to try to do best off the dome. It's something like, "It's easy to replace me, but it's damn near impossible to have them do exactly what I do." Something along that lines. I will have it right there so you guys can read it. And very true. And that goes for anyone in this day and age, job-wise, anything, where it's a business, and we're going to keep saying this over and over again, but anybody's replaced, but can they do the job that that person does? And that's athletes all the way down to just your regular associate, basically. You don't know how good you have till you're gone, is basically what he's saying. But there's two sides of the story here that I kind of want to get, is because while he may be very true, because Kansas City, they never, well, I'm not going to say never, because Eric Berry was up there as well. They've had safety star potential, but Tyrann is a whole nother level. He's a whole nother athlete. So I'm going to give him that. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't won a Super Bowl. I'm going to give him that as well. And he's one of my favorite Chiefs, too, that we've ever had. And it would be unfortunate to see him go, but I can see the business side why things might need to be done as well. But if we roll reverse into the Chiefs side, they can throw that same quote back at him, because not every team, in Tyrann's 3 years, he's had the luxury of going to every year championship games, AFC championship games, Super Bowl in 2 of those years, and not a lot of teams can say that. So he can go to another team. That grass isn't always greener on the other side, and who knows if he's going to be able to see that type of success. Not saying he won't, and not saying he will, but like he's saying, you don't know what you have till it's gone. And that's the same thing. You're on a really good team right now, and you could go, even let's say the Ravens, which they're very good, but you're also going to compete with the Mahomes again, and it's going to be rivalries. Or even if you went to a Chargers and things like that, KC, no matter where you go, is going to be the top dog. And that's just because they got that guy right there, Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to do what he does, and there's a reason why he's top. And also, if you backtrack towards Tyrann's career, I don't know too much of Arizona. I want to say he might have had a playoff appearance, but and maybe in Houston too. I don't know if that was their off year also, but again, the luxury he didn't have for the first 6 years of his career, 6-7 years to the last 3, is tremendously different. So that quote is substantial for both ways and can play both sides, and I'm sure he knows that also. And I'm sure if he does test the free agents market, it's not like he's going to be like, I'm going to take the high money deal and go play with a Jets or something, someone who's not a contender. I'm pretty sure he's going to find a contender. And I do want to make a point here also to people who says, well, why, he's good, so why aren't the Chiefs offering him? Let's not act like the Chiefs have not offered him anything, because I do feel like they offered him something. And I want to say, let's say it was in the range of a 12 to 14 million. Tyrann wants to be paid highest, and Jamal Adams screwed that all up with 17 mil. And there's a chance he could see that on the free agent market, or he might get a reality check in the free agent market. Might not be what it is, and KC might be able to swing back into there. But I think KC made an offer around 12 to 14 million. I'm not no reporter insider. I'm just saying, because this is what it seems. And he just rejected it because that's not where he values himself, which is perfectly fine. And also, too, it's perfectly fine that KC is making that type of offer, too, because no matter how good Tyrann is, again, the business aspect, he did have the most turnovers on the team, but 6. And that's something KC needs to like restructure altogether. 6 is not a hi hat to hold your head on. Definitely nowhere. I know you led the team, but that's not something to brag about. Everybody in that locker room should feel ashamed that 6 is the thing that led the whole team. And 3 interceptions also. Yeah, it led the team, but again, that's something everybody needs to improve on. So it's not really a bragging point, and it's not something to be like justified to say, hey, I deserve that contract, because it was probably his worst year in KC. And again, I get all the factors that play into it. Quarterbacks will avoid him. Receivers won't be near him. Like, I get all that. But at the end of the day, like, for example, Jalen Ramsey deals with the same thing. Let's not focus on tape and things. But also, too, you got your high-end defenders when the ball's around them to make a play. And I'm not saying Tyrann doesn't do that, but it wasn't as efficient as what it was in years past. So when you're in a contract year and you're trying to prove you're the highest paid player, you got to play like it. And last year wasn't justified to it. So I can see why KC's not giving that top dollar to him and why they're going back and forth. Now, where it gets fun, where it gets interesting. Again, this is just another tweet. So we don't know if they correlate with each other, but it was 30 minutes afterwards. So you got to think it does. And if not, I might make it be about that. And Juan Thornhill, he has a nice tweet, I want to say within that hour, with a picture of him in the Arizona game a couple years back, saying, I'm tired of the disrespect, I'm him. Like I said, we can make that be whatever you want to be. But right after the Honey Badger tweets that, he basically said, Juan Thornhill's basically saying, I'm that dude that's going to replace you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And now, when people maybe out of Chiefs Kingdom or things like that see that, they'll be like, Juan Thornhill, really? You think you that guy? Let's not forget who Juan Thornhill is, and let's not forget why we drafted him. He is an athletic freak, and I think he can fill a role, maybe not to the highest level, because again, Tyrann is a different player at the best of his ability. But we never got to see Juan Thornhill like that, and it was taken away so soon when he tore his ACL year 2, and then also when year 3, when I don't know what was going on with play scheming, not letting him be on the field as much as what he should have, when he should have, definitely over a Dan Sorensen. I don't care how, like, if he's available and he says he's ready to go, I'm taking a 70% Juan Thornhill over a Dan Sorensen. We remember how, like, he's a playmaker. He knows where the ball at, kind of like the Honey Badger, and I would love to see him in a full-time role like that. And I do have a video on here if you guys haven't checked out my top 5 replacements if the Honey Badger decides to leave. And one of them was like, let Thornhill get most of those snaps. Let him be the starter, because I feel like it's justified for him to do that. And I think he will show out. And another thing, too, he's in year 4, kind of like McCall Hardman. These players play big when it's contract year and it's going into their first big payday. And that will be something crazy to see. And that's another part of the business, too, where you got to look long term. Do you want to pay a Honey Badger who's going in his age 30 season in the NFL, or do you want to see what Juan Thornhill does? Let's say if you do pay Honey Badger, and let's say Thornhill breaks out next year on the other side of Honey Badger. Now you're going to have to pay 2 guys, or let Thornhill walk, who's 25 years old, or you pay 2 guys $15 million plus. I think if KC's trying to do right now is trying to be like, Tyrann, we're going to give you that 12 to 14 mil range, but maybe we need to see what we have on our roster or what we can get in the future too, because with Thornhill being 25 and he balls out, and I think there's a good chance he will, because if you just look at the tape, the athleticism is there, and he has a high ceiling, and if he can go to that potential, he can easily be in that range from a $12 million to $15 million safety. I believe that, because one, that's what we drafted him here for, and that's what the duo was supposed to be. We never really got to see it in full effect, which is sad that was taken away from us. So I do believe Juan Thornhill can fill the shoes, not like fill them completely, but with what he does best, it would be very nice to see. And if you see it next year also, it's going to be better to where I think a lot of people will realize, damn, Juan Thornhill's numbers are better than the Honey Badgers. But don't get that twisted either, because scheming wise and what defense wise too, like I mentioned, a lot of people try to avoid Tyrann. A lot of people don't try to avoid Juan. So if he can be a playmaker and make a play on the ball, his stats could be crazy next year. And if you pair him on the other side with a Daxton Hill, bring in another rookie, the guy I love, that would be a crazy duo too. I think this whole situation is crazy, and I think it fits Chiefs Kingdom so well. And I think Tyrann is the perfect person to be a player to be in Chiefs Kingdom, because he called us toxic back in the day, like early in the season, and you could tell he's got a little bit in himself just with how he goes back and forth on Twitter, bashing with fans. Like, you could tell he's a perfect fit. I just think maybe it's ran its course, and that's nothing bad. Everything needs adjusted, and definitely, like I mentioned, when you want to stay in championship modes, you need to keep adjusting, because you got the lights of the Bengals, the Bills, things like the Chargers. Your division's hard. Raiders, who knows? Broncos get Aaron Rodgers. It's a whole nother game. So I get what Casey's going here, because they don't want to basically bottle up 15 to 17 million in safety, and then, we can't go after a pass rusher, we can't go after a number 2 receiver, we can't go after a cornerback. Think of this: you get a Juan Thornhill. Now, I won't say it because I think it's going to happen, but I may be crazy, but you got to keep checking in on these videos, because it could happen. What if you get a Juan Thornhill? Now, I'm just saying, you break the bank on a J.C. Jackson. That's a shutdown corner in itself. And it wouldn't hurt this much this year, because another thing people need to realize with the cap is there's really no salary cap. But if J.C. Jackson signs a 4 to 5 year deal in KC and it's $20 million a year, I guarantee you that first year is only going to be $10 million. People got to realize that when it's those early years and Casey does it very well, they know how to push the later dollars back and then restructure later on. And that's why the cap is not really a cap. But if you get a J.C. Jackson who is also young, and then a Juan Thornhill, then you add someone like on the lights, maybe a vet. Let's say Chandler Jones. Let's say Von Miller. Let's say Emmanuel Ogbah. I'm just throwing names out there. There's ways this can happen. But if you get a Tyrann, he would be like a 3-year deal, which there's not much wiggle room to do for 15 mil. So one of those, the first year could be 12 to 13 million. So I get business side where KC is trying to make it work in the lower end, and I get Tyrann's thing too, because he is one of the best in the league and he wants his money now. So I get both sides, and I get how they're both trying to justify it. But you let me know in the comments down below. Is Tyrann Mathieu worth that money? Or do you think Chiefs should really try to value different positions, because they got a lot of needs this offseason? But with that, I am checking out. But before I do, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, because I will be checking in with you daily. And before I close, thumbs up button, click it. Be sure to like this video. I'm taking out.